Hello to all my lovely listeners and all the amazing football fans across the globe, and welcome to the latest episode of Gaffer's Advisor, your favorite football podcast. Before we begin this episode, I would quickly like to remind everyone to hit that like and subscribe button and help the podcast grow if you still haven't done so. A lot has happened since the time the last episode of Gaffer's Advisor came out, like the Premier League went on a break after the passing of Her Majesty the Queen of England, may she rest in peace. Arsenal are surprisingly still at the top of the table. Cristiano Ronaldo and Manchester United parted ways mid-season courtesy a hot and spicy, albeit a controversial interview with Piers Morgan, and the FIFA World Cup 2022 began amid weird rules of no beer, strict clothing policy for women, and 5 substitutes in Qatar, and that too in the month of November, in turn leading to another break in the Premier League and the Champions League. The amount of fatigue and the cluttering of fixtures to follow is definitely going to take an immense amount of toll on the players. And with so many unusual things happening, Arsenal might actually even win the league, or Man City might win the Champions League. But talking of the World Cup, FIFA World Cup 2022 is as historic as it might get for a long time to come. And I don't just say that because of the clothing policy or the beer ban. I say this because Qatar became the first Islamic nation to host the FIFA World Cup and also became the first host nation in the history of the tournament to exit the group stage without having any points on the board. Besides that, another historic thing about this World Cup is that Cristiano Ronaldo became the first male player ever to score in 5 World Cup tournaments. FIFA World Cup 2022 also marks the last World Cup for the 2 GOATs of the sport, Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, but along with these 2, it will also be the last World Cup of many other great players to have graced the football pitch. Players like Edinson Cavani, Luka Modric, Manuel Neuer, Hugo Lloris and several others will be playing their last World Cup. Getting back to Gaffer's Advisor, this episode is going to be all about the group stage of the FIFA World Cup 2022, which came with more than just a few shockers. So without any more delay, let's look at the teams who have qualified for the knockout stages and the hurdles they had to cross to get there. Beginning with the first group, or Group A, consisted of the host nation Qatar along with Senegal, Ecuador and the Netherlands. The Dutch topping the group was something everyone expected, and so they did with a couple of 2-0 victories against Senegal and Qatar despite being held for a draw against the Ecuador. The fight was always going to be for the second qualifying spot between Senegal and Ecuador. Their match against each other on the last day of their group, ironically their first ever competitive meeting, became a virtual knockout. Senegal had 1 win over Qatar and needed a win to advance, while Ecuador simply needed to avoid defeat to enter the knockouts, being 1 point ahead. In the end, Senegal prevailed 2-1 at the full-time whistle, and the African champions joined the Dutch side to advance to the round of 16 from their group. Group B was in a way a group of rivalries, as it comprised England, the US, Wales and Iran. Despite being in a group with fierce rivals like Wales and the US, the 3 Lions were expected to win the group even if not with a perfect record. A thumping 6-2 win against Iran in their opener, a draw against the US and a 3-0 win on the final day against Wales saw the English side advance to the round of 16 by topping their group. The second qualifying place was up for grabs for both Iran and the US. While the US drew against Wales and England for 2 points from their first 2 matches, Iran was still in a better position due to their victory against Wales as the 2 sides headed into the final day in another virtual knockout. Iran needed to salvage at least a draw, while the USA needed a win to advance. A closely contested match saw the US take a narrow 1-0 win on the final day and end Iran's hopes of qualifying. The Stars and Stripes joined the Three Lions in the knockouts from their group. Group C is the group where the drama actually began in this World Cup. It housed Argentina, Mexico, Poland and Saudi Arabia. Argentina, a side that is a favourite for many to go the distance and win the entire tournament, began by losing to Saudi Arabia in their first match. Being one of the favourites, Argentina was expected to finish at the top of their group, with the fight coming down to Poland and Mexico for the second qualifying place. After getting shocked by the Asian country, Argentina found themselves needing to win against Mexico and Poland to make a safe passage for themselves, or the last World Cup for Lionel Messi would have ended in the group stage itself. But the dream was meant to continue, as a couple of 2-0 wins against Mexico and against Poland on the last day saw Argentina into the round of 16 at the top of their group. Poland and Mexico entered the last day in very different situations. There were a lot of permutations and combinations which meant for Poland to be eliminated, which meant for Mexico to be eliminated, and I'm going to try and explain those. So please bear with me as I go through the math. But Poland was almost through. They needed to avoid a heavy defeat against Argentina, and they needed Mexico to defeat Saudi Arabia, but not by a huge margin. The goal difference was definitely coming into play, and a Saudi win or a loss to Argentina for Poland would have meant the end for their World Cup dreams. There was even a point during the matches when Poland and Mexico were at the same number of points with the same goal difference and the same head-to-head, and Poland was qualifying for the knockouts based on disciplinary grounds, as they had received lesser number of yellow cards as compared to Mexico. Poland finally did qualify as the second team in the group, ahead of Mexico on goal difference, after Saudi Arabia dashed Mexican dreams by scoring late in the injury time. With a 2-0 win over Saudi Arabia and a draw against Mexico and a goal difference better than Mexico by just one solitary goal, the European nation joined the South Americans in the round of 16 of the FIFA World Cup 2022. The fourth group, or Group D, had Tunisia, Australia, Denmark and the defending champions France. Ever since Brazil did it back in 2006, no team has been able to advance to the knockout stages as defending champions, owing to the alleged curse. And for that very reason, France was being doubted a little to advance. But Les Bleus proved the doubters wrong and gained easy access to the knockouts by winning their first two games. A 4-1 thumping against Australia after conceding first, and a convincing 2-1 win over Denmark. However, on the final day, in a match that did not matter much to France's qualifying chances, the defending champions went down to a fighting Tunisia 1-0. Despite the hiccup, France topped the group and broke the curse of the defending champions. The fight for the second place in the group was mostly going to be between Denmark and Australia. With both sides losing to France, the points to grab were against each other and against Tunisia. The Socceroos defeated the African side by a 1-0 and then beat Denmark by the same scoreline on the final day to join France in the round of 16 as the Group D runners-up on goal difference. Group E was being considered as the heavyweight group because it contained two previous champions in Spain and Germany, with Japan and Costa Rica closing out the group. A group of this caliber is expected to give out fireworks, and it delivered throughout on that promise and not just on the final day. Everyone expected to see Spain and Germany moving ahead to the knockouts and competing against each other for the top spot in the group. However, in a shocking and surprising turn of events, Japan defeated Germany 2-1 on the opening day, while Spain took charge by annihilating Costa Rica 7-0 in their opener and registered an emphatic goal difference. Spain and Germany then played out a 1-1 draw, while Japan lost to Costa Rica in another shocker. The final day arrived with a lot of permutations and combinations, with each single team of the group having a chance to qualify for the knockouts. Spain entered the final day at the top of the group with a win and a draw, and Japan and Costa Rica were occupying the second and the third spot with a win each. Germany was at the bottom of the group with a solitary point from the draw against Spain. Spain needed at least a draw against Japan on the final day to ensure safe qualification. Japan needed to win to qualify safely. Germany not only needed to beat Costa Rica but also needed Spain to take the points off Japan. Even Costa Rica had a chance of qualifying on the final day in case they beat Germany and Japan beat Spain. With so much at stake, there was a point during the final matches for 3 minutes when Japan led against Spain and Costa Rica led against Germany and were both qualifying for the knockouts, which meant Spain and Germany crashing out. However, in the end, Japan held on to their lead and beat Spain 2-1 to qualify for the round of 16 at the top of the group. Germany beat Costa Rica, but thanks to Spain's huge goal difference, they qualified ahead of Germany as Group E runners-up and joined Japan in the knockouts. This meant heartbreak not only for the German fans, but also a sad farewell from the World Cup tournaments for the legendary German goalkeeper Manuel Neuer. Group F was made up of Belgium, Canada, Croatia and Morocco, and it was generally expected that Belgium and Croatia will qualify for the knockouts, but a tournament that had been so crazy thus far was not about to let up. Morocco started their campaign with a goalless draw against Croatia, while Belgium defeated Canada by a 0-0. The shock came when Morocco defeated the world number 2 side Belgium by 2-0 and then beat Canada 2-1 on the final day to qualify for the round of 16 at the top of their group. Croatia, after starting their campaign with a draw, went on to defeat Canada 4-1 and entered the final day to play against Belgium. In a match that Belgium needed to win to qualify, Croatia only needed to secure a draw, and that is exactly what happened. A goalless draw meant heartbreak for Kevin De Bruyne and company as Belgium crashed out while Luka Modric and Croatia found themselves joining Morocco in the final 16 of the FIFA World Cup 2022. The penultimate group, or Group G, comprised of the 5-time champions Brazil along with Switzerland, Serbia and the African nation of Cameroon. Brazil, as another one of the favorite teams to win the tournament, was expected to breeze through to the knockouts. Courtesy of a 2-0 win over Serbia and a 1-0 win over Switzerland, Brazil entered the last day of the group stage already qualified for the round of 16, but they were still expected to go through without dropping any points. Any kind of result against Cameroon would not have changed Brazil's standing at the top of the group, and a changed lineup fielded by Tite playing against the African side lost by a 0-0 courtesy a late injury time goal. Switzerland was the only other side entering the last day with a win under their belt over Cameroon by a 0-0. They needed to win against Serbia to guarantee a qualifying spot. A win by a huge margin might even have taken them to the top of the group. The group had a lot of options in which any side would have joined Brazil in the knockouts, but in the end, a 3-2 win for Switzerland over Serbia meant a passage for the Swiss team and heartbreak for the African side and the Serbs. With Brazil entering the knockout stages, it will be interesting to see if and when Neymar Jr. returns from injury to take further part in the tournament. Group H, or the last group for the World Cup, was made up of Portugal, Ghana, South Korea and Uruguay. Much like France and Brazil, Portugal had made safe passage to the knockout stages by winning their opening 2 games, a 3-2 win against Ghana and a 2-0 win over Uruguay. Playing with a relaxed mindset, another side having the chance to move into the knockouts without dropping any points, Portugal went down to a fighting South Korea 2-1 in a match that was extremely vital for every other team in the group except Portugal. South Korea and Uruguay were entering the final day with 1 point each from a draw they played against each other. While South Korea had lost their other match 3-2 to Ghana, Uruguay had lost to Portugal, and both teams needed a win on the final day to have a chance to qualify for the knockout stages, depending upon the result from the other match. South Korea beat Portugal 2-1, while Uruguay beat Cameroon 2-0 on the final day. Being on the same points and on the same goal difference, the Asian team qualified ahead of the South American side thanks to having scored more goals in the tournament thus far and joined Portugal's in the round of 16 as the Group H runners-up. With these results and the qualifying nations, the round of 16 pairings are as follows: the Netherlands vs US on December 3rd, Argentina vs Australia later on December 3rd, France vs Poland and England vs Senegal on Sunday the December 4th, Japan vs Croatia and Brazil vs South Korea on December 5th, and the last day for the round of 16, that is December 6th, Tuesday, Morocco will take on Spain and Portugal will take on Switzerland. With the group stage ending with loads of drama and numerous upsets and shockers, the FIFA World Cup that has already been crazy so far promises more fireworks in the upcoming knockout rounds. Also, this was the first FIFA World Cup since 1994 tournament that no side advanced to the knockouts without dropping any points. There can be several reasons and logic behind this craziness, and Gaffer's advisor has a take on it too. There is a factor of the acclimatization of the players with the atmosphere and the weather conditions of the host nation. Also, this World Cup falls between the ongoing domestic leagues across the world, and that has possibly created a very unusual mindset in the players' minds and also reduced the time of acclimatization that the players normally get. With added substitutes, there are more chances for youngsters making an impact and turning the matches around. This may hold more salt than the other reasons because with sides like Belgium and Germany unable to qualify for the knockouts, it is clear that the time has passed on their golden generation. Even the Croatian side is past their prime and made their way to the knockouts riding on just a single victory from the group stage. Spain as well qualified ahead of Germany based on their superior goal difference. So the aging squad factor, coupled with the passion and the tenacity showed by the Asian and the African sides, has resulted in a lot of upheaval in this tournament. With the knockouts just beginning, the World Cup has entered the phase where one match is all it takes to crush a dream. Who will win the World Cup? What sides do you think will make it to the semi-finals? What final are you expecting to take place on December 18th? Comment with your picks below and let's see who can predict this unpredictable World Cup. Do we have a Paul-esque octopus talent in the listeners? Let's find out. Keep following Gaffer's Advisor for more updates and news on the FIFA World Cup 2022. Do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and if you like the coverage, please share it with your friends and your footballing circle and help your favorite podcast grow. Until next time, this is your host and Gaffer's Advisor Siddharth Kathuria signing off and wishing you all an exciting and entertaining FIFA World Cup 2022.